Majlis kita hari ini membawa satu tajuk yang cukup menarik, iaitu kosmos dan seni. Apakah hubungan antara ruang angkasa dan luas dengan seni halus yang mendalam? Hari ini kita akan menyelami persoalan itu bersama barisan panelis yang bukan sahaja pakar dalam bidang masing-masing, tetapi juga mampu membawa kita melihat dari perspektif yang luar biasa. Tanpa melengahkan masa, saya dengan segala hormatnya menyerahkan majlis kepada moderator kita yang berusaha, Dr. John, untuk mengemudi sesi bicara ilmiah ini. Dipersilakan.
Thank you. A very good afternoon, everyone here today. It is an honor to be the moderator for this event today. My name is John, so I'm Dr. John Su from the School of Physics, and I'm a researcher in the field of cosmology. I have a few students here with me today. Right, that's Karthik over there, Sanjeev and Wilson. So thank you for coming. Right, so today we are all here for a very prestigious event. So this is Cosmos and the Arts. I'm sure you're here because either you love arts, you love the cosmos, or you love both. So we are all here very, very excited to have three very, very prestigious speakers with us today. So I will, of course, in a while I will introduce each and every one of them. But before I get into the introduction, I want to let you know that there will be a Q&A session later. Right? So if you see this QR code over here, you can take out your phone, please scan this QR code, right? And later, if you have any questions, right, that you want to ask to any of the speakers, please type that in, using your phones, and during the Q&A session, we will try to answer them. If this is your first time using Slido, let me just give you a little bit of a quick idea of what you can do. So first of all, when you type your questions, you could introduce yourself, you can say who you are. You can mention who this question is directed to, right? We have three speakers here today, or you can also leave it blank if you want anybody to answer. Your question can be in English or in Malay, or in Chinese if you want me to translate it for you, okay? And later on, you can also rank the questions. So that means if you look at someone's questions whom you think is very good, you can actually click a like, and it will actually be higher in the priority. Right? So please feel free to scan this. Later we will show this QR code again, and prepare your questions, right? And we'll ask away later on. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce all of you to our first speaker of the day, which is none other than Dr. Chong Han Liu, on my right. So Dr. Chong Han Liu's love for astronomy goes way back to the time even when he was still a teenager, and he studied at Maxwell Secondary School in Kuala Lumpur. In the mid-70s, he did his bachelor's and master's degree in physics at University of Science Malaysia, USM. We had a chat earlier on. He said that he was the third batch of the students who started here at USM. So later, he pursued and obtained his PhD in low-temperature solid-state physics from the University of Grenoble, France in 1979. Dr. Chong, he then returned to Malaysia. He became a lecturer at the School of Physics in USM, where he taught courses in physics and astronomy. Dr. Chong was very active in astronomy outreach activities. If you have done any astronomy activities in Penang, I'm sure you have seen him somewhere, right? Everywhere, in fact. So some of his notable achievements were the formation of the USM Astronomy Club in 1986. He also organized the largest star party in Malaysia in 2005. And later on, he formed the Astronomical Society of Penang, ASP, in 2015, which was also the year when he retired from USM. So currently, Dr. Chong is the president of ESP, and despite being a retiree, he is as busy as ever. He is always going around encouraging astronomy lovers that seeing is believing, doing is fun, and open your heart to the universe. So without further ado, today let us put our hands together to welcome Dr. Chong, who will speak to us about cosmos and the arts with science perspective.
Thank you, Dr. John, for a warm introduction. So I would like to welcome our fancy Professor Emeritus Maswar Usman, Professor Madya, Haskell Dharma Sailun, Dr. John Su, my colleague in School of Physics, also retired, the Director of the Newton Gallery, Dr. Katrina, the CEO of Tekdong, Mr. Kubui, and Dato Anwar Fajar. Welcome. So this is my talk today. So basically in the museum we have been promoting astronomy since 1994. In the museum, astronomy, all kinds of activities. So this is a timely thing together with what we are having tomorrow night in Sukakakai, where you combine the dance and the art and the science and astronomy together. And so this is in a sense a kind of a talk for the preview for tomorrow's nice big evening there. Alright? So this is the cosmos and the art, the science perspective. So we know that you have the art is on one side, and you have one is science. Cosmos meaning science, and we will never mix this wrong. But at the end of this talk, I hope that when you leave the museum, you have a different perspective of science, the cosmos and the art. Right? So this is the science perspective. This not be tried. Other forwarder use it. Okay, so you have the cosmos and the arts, alright? And so let's really start with this. This is actually the Aboriginal art from Australia, alright? So here you have over here, you see on the right side here, the Seven Sisters. Alright, so you have the constellation of Taurus the Bull, and so in Australia you have this is not on in the cave, but it's done by modern the female artists in Australia who painted. But we have found in the caves in France all over the world the art painted thousands of years ago and depicting astronomy events. So this is the Seven Sisters. And then of course the modern one, as suggested by Tiang Seri also, we talk about the latest equipment in astronomy is called James Webb. So previously we have what? Hubble Space Telescope. So now we don't say James Webb, say Webb. Okay? So this James Webb Space Telescope is over there. It's a huge mirror, and each mirror is segment is about 1.3 meter, 18 hexagonal segments combined to make a big mirror. And this is the famous picture of the what they call Eagle Nebula. So basically you have the best telescope now in space to observe the universe in infrared, right? And this is the mirror, and look at the people there, the technicians so small, right? And this is so basically how big is the Webb telescope? The mirror and the sun shield is about a tennis court. So basically this one can see the universe to the edge of the universe. So this is a cosmological equipment. You can see in infrared to the edge of the universe, and you can see a lot of things. And one of the objectives is to see the stars where you have new planets being formed, right? Exoplanets being formed, right? And this one is taken by Webb itself. In the small Magellanic Cloud, our Milky Way has two sidekicks. The large Magellanic Cloud, a small galaxy, and the small Magellanic Cloud, a small galaxy. So in the small Magellanic Cloud, we have a star cluster, and then you see. So what I'm saying, I look from the point of view of an artist. It's so beautiful, you know. You can imagine that science you can get like that. So basically you look at infrared. So this is the star forming region in the small Magellanic Cloud, a small galaxy attached to our Milky Way galaxy. Right? And this is our NGC 602. Right? And of course this is a famous cosmic clip in the Eta Carina Nebula. Again, remember, Webb is looking at infrared, that is looking at the short, long wavelength. So you see the stars are collapsing and they are being born, and the planets will be born there. And you see here, you see infrared, alright, in the Carina constellation. And this is the earlier one taken by Hubble called the M16 Eagle Nebula, alright, in the Serpent's constellation. And you see this is the dust, you can see all the dust here, alright. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the atoms in your body, the oxygen in this room came from a kind of nebula that exploded from the earlier generations of stars that died, collapsed, and to form the solar system, the sun and us. So this is the new picture of the infrared picture of the Eagle Nebula M16 by Webb. And this is cosmology one. This is Remember earlier with Hubble, we have the deep field of Hubble, ultra deep field. This is the first deep field of Webb. Alright? So this is about 4.5 billion light years away. In astronomy, we don't say 1 billion kilometers. Check that. Deep light year. 1 light year equals 9 trillion kilometers. This is 4.5 billion Bangkok light years away. Alright? And here you see every single spot here is a galaxy, except this one. This is a foreground star in the Milky Way galaxy. And then this is look at the galaxy formed in the beginning of the early universe, and you can see the gravitational lensing. So you can see a lot of beautiful. So basically, nature is very imaginative, beautiful. So basically what I'm saying that when we look at the picture like that, we appreciate the beauty. The universe is also beauty, it's also art. Alright? And of course, I remember as a schoolboy in KL school, I saw this picture in the science fiction storybook, The Starry Night by Van Gogh, the famous Dutch painter who went to Provence in southern part and painted it. So basically this is astronomy and art fused together. So I say that basically, now, but this is still a kind of a perception. We perceive that art and science should be fused together, but is it actually true even at a more fundamental level? And the answer you will see later is yes. Okay. So what is known so far is that we have the biggest telescope. And it still seems that to most people that art and science seem to be separate. But you find that now there's a part of science which I'm not trying to say I'm based for bias towards physics because I'm a physicist before. Because in physics we study the universe at the most fundamental level. So we're going to see that even at the most fundamental level, actually science and art is actually one, fused together. Okay, so this is, for example, a book by Nick Herbert on quantum reality. So when you look at the universe at the most fundamental level, there are two, relativity and quantum mechanics. So this is quantum mechanics, studying the universe at the most quantum fundamental level. So for example, years ago, in the 1990s, the first quantum teleportation experiment successfully done by Anton Zeilinger in Austria. Got a Nobel Prize for that. So basically is that, just in short that, in quantum mechanics, they have done some experiment there. They have here, you have two photons. They entangle them. In quantum mechanics, don't be scared of this, a wave function. A photon has a wave function, and the photon number 2 has a wave function. They go and combine them, and they entangle
and they split them, and they send them to different parts of the room. This could be different parts of the universe. And the moment when you detect the photon here, the photon has spin up or spin down. So when they entangle them, the spin must be either up or down. It cannot be up and down and down, up or down. So when this detected as one up, this has to be down. And this will be instantaneously detected when this is detected. There seems to be an instantaneous communication between these two, even if it could be at both ends of the universe. And they've done this experiment. So in other words, this is called quantum entanglement, quantum teleportation. It's a big deal, all right? So this is quantum entanglement. And now the technical term, don't be scared, collapse of the wave function. So when you have this photon go to one end of the universe, before you detect it, we don't know the state, 1 or 0, 0 or 1. But once this is detected, 1, that will be 0. Or this is 0, that will be 1. And it's instantaneous communication. And this has been duplicated all over the world. I don't know whether in Malaysian universities they have conducted such experiments. So quantum entanglement is very true. So this is collapse of the wave function. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is reality. In quantum mechanics, as 100 years ago, quantum mechanics was founded, and then the people who proposed the fundamentals of quantum mechanics, like Einstein, Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, said that before you look at a reality, it doesn't exist. For example, they do an experiment. You have an electron moving in a vacuum. To see the electron, you have to send in a particle of light, photon, to detect it. But the problem is, when the particle of light hits the electron is also changed by the detection. So when you see the event, then the event is changed by your observation. So the observer can change reality. And because you see the reality exists because the observer has seen it. So if there's no observer, the reality may not exist. So only when the observer sees it, the collapse of the wave function, then the reality exists. So this is confirmed by quantum mechanics experiment. Right? So now even better, quantum non-locality. So this is basically, they usually use Alice and Bob. So basically, if this Alice, you do a certain experiment, like I said, the quantum entanglement experiment, once you detect the photon here as spin up 1, so this will be 0. And it may not be 2 people, it may be 1,000,000 people all around the universe. So all the 1,000 photons are entangled. So the moment this is detected, all will be fixed. Just by one collapse of the wave function, all will collapse. And this has been demonstrated. So in other words, we are living in a non-local universe. In other words, what happens in this room is not only affected in this room. So somewhere on the other part of the world, on Mars, if what you say something here, on Mars, on the other part of the world, there is an effect there. So we are all interconnected by science, not just by spiritual, what they call inclination or what. By science, we are all interconnected. It's called quantum non-locality. All right. So next time, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at remember years ago, Hubble have taken the picture of a group of galaxies in the 4 constellation, the ultra deep field, billions of light years away. Every single spot of light here is a galaxy. All here are galaxies. 3,000 galaxies, about 4 billion light years away. So basically, next time you look at ultra deep field, you must realize quantum non-locality. They are all interconnected. All the galaxies may be billions of light years interconnected. All right. So if, in a sense, the connection can be faster than the speed of light. So basically, when you perform a dance somewhere in the world, in Malaysia, somewhere on the other part of the world, maybe your friend who is also an artist can sense your dance by science, not by thought, by science. All right, that's what you know. All right, so let's go a bit more in a poetic way. We know that even the poets of old have just said a lot of things which is true in art. You know, so the Persian, what they call poet and Sufi Rumi have made a lot of nice. He's one of the most famous poets in the world. Made this statement: do not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside you. Stop acting so small. All right? So the universe, whole universe is inside you. If you do something, you can affect the universe. If somewhere happen in other parts of the universe, it can affect you. That's what he's saying. Okay? And even Max Planck, the guy who promoted quantum mechanics in 1900, more than 100 years ago, he came up with a famous saying, after many years of scientific research, there is no matter as such. Mind is a matrix of all matter. So basically, the thought, the mind, all right, or even the better consciousness, or even better awareness, that actually decides everything. So basically, the matter and mind and consciousness are all intertwined, connect. So he himself said it, all right, and so basically here we have matter, energy, consciousness. You can even drop out matter because we know that matter is also a form of energy. All right? So basically, the whole universe is all energy. All right? And this energy is affected by consciousness. And when you have energy affecting consciousness, consciousness can affect energy. So that's what the scientists are telling us. They're doing experiment. All right? And then, of course, Arthur Eddington, a famous astrophysicist in Cambridge 100 years ago, over many years of work, he came up with this famous saying, we always quote it, the more we look at it, the more the universe appears to have been designed. It looks less and less like a great machine, and more like a great thought. So this is true. As a scientist, he's a hardcore, pure theoretical physicist in Cambridge University. The supervisor of Chandrasekhar. All right? So now we come to the next one. Why I have this? Because this is my favorite topic in high school, in Maxwell School, exoplanet. Because when I was in KL in 1960, I want to look for aliens. But in 1960, no Hubble Space Telescope. We don't know whether exoplanet exists. But now they have discovered exoplanets. All right? How many? So basically, there are a lot of exoplanets here. They have these are not actual one they have seen, but this is a space artist depiction. How it should look like. Okay? So basically, you look at this encyclopedia in your handphone. exoplanet.eu. So as of 10th of August, last Sunday, how many are there? 6,338 exoplanets. So at night, you go to Batu Perigi, you see so many stars, but many of the stars got exoplanets. And they have seen one star in Milky Way got 9 exoplanets. Remember, solar system has 8 exoplanets. From Mercury to Neptune, by Pluto, Pluto no more planet. Pluto is what they call dwarf planet. So they have discovered exoplanet, star in Milky Way that has 9 exoplanets, more than our solar system 8 planets. Okay, so you meet an alien in space next time, they'll say that I come from a star system where there are 23 exoplanets. You are only 8, we are 23, all right, or we are 9. So our solar system record has been broken. Huh? Okay, so you have 6,030 exoplanets, and you have 4,530 planet systems. What's a planet system? A planet system means a star and a planet, a star and 2 planets, a star and 3 planets. So many planet systems, and 992 multiple planetary systems. A star with 2 planets, 3 planets, or more planets. So we are no more alone. So ladies and gentlemen, go and check this catalog. You'll be blown away. We are no more alone. There are so many. So basically, they are now discovering exoplanets like kacang putih. So common. Nothing new. All right? All right? Like this. Like kacang putih. All right? Sometimes in one day, they discover 3 exoplanets or more. All right? So now, how many stars are there in Milky Way? 200 billion stars. 2 followed by 11 zeros. And the scientists say that every star in Milky Way should have at least 1 exoplanet. So how many planets are there in the Milky Way, our galaxy? 200 billion exoplanets. How many people in the world now? 8 billion people. The parents and the kids. But there are more planets in the Milky Way than there are people living now. So many. So we are not alone. So we hope that you have an intelligent, you have a star system, got a living creature, intelligent, technical civilization. Okay? So many years ago when I was in KL in the 60s, E.T., where are you? I will try to find you. Those days, but now with Hubble and so on, I will definitely find you. That's it. E.T., where are you? I will definitely find you. I don't like to use alien because alien jala jahat. E.T. Alright? So these are the good ones. I will definitely find you like this. Alright? So he may exist somewhere. Our Milky Way could be saturated with intelligent ET technical civilization. And if you follow the argument of Professor Carl Sagan many years ago, a famous series called Cosmos in Malaysian RTM, he came up with the argument that if there are any intelligent civilization exploring the Milky Way, by right they have to be the good one, not the bad guy. Because if you are a bad guy, bad civilization, you want to conquer and defeat other civilization, one day you are going to meet a civilization more technical, more advanced than you, they will finish you off. So being good has survival value. That's it. So I follow that argument. So hopefully we can meet. I would like to find my ET in future. Okay. So I come to more fundamental particle physics. So remember in CERN, European Center for Nuclear Research, you have this particle accelerator, and you look at the human being there. Are you so small? So basically, they have created the Large Hadron Collider where they collide the proton-proton beam to study matter at the most fundamental level. All right? So that's it. There's one part of it. And there you are. There you are, the two beams collide. And then when you collide, they study the E. And recently, in the year 2013, the Large Hadron Collider, they discovered the Higgs boson. Wow, Nobel Prize. They're studying matter, science, reality at the most fundamental level, 27 kilometers. And they want to build a future circular collider 100 kilometers in diameter, all around Geneva, in Switzerland, and in France. I visited before, very impressive. So they even discover nature at even more fundamental level. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is, to me, this is art. That's art. All right. So basically, the whole universe is made up of particles called the quarks. Not the quark, that quark. All right? I don't want to give too much technical, up quark, jump quark, and so on. These are the quark. And then you have the leptons, electrons, and so on. And then you also have the Gauge boson. And the most important one is called the scalar boson, the Higgs particle that gives us mass. The scientists ask, why must we have mass? Why must we have weight? You may say, stupid question. We must have weight. No. The scientists will not take anything for granted. Why must we have mass? Explain it. There you are. Because there's a Higgs boson. The Higgs boson gives us mass. So this is a beautiful, so beautiful, you know. We are so similar. I'm very sure if you meet an alien somewhere in the solar system, he will also be made of these fundamental particles. So there are not many. There are 16 plus 1, 17 particles, and each particle has its own antiparticle also. So there are 32, what do you call, this particle plus antiparticle. So this is the structure of matter. It's very beautiful and simple. Like what Einstein said, if something is complicated, it's not true. It has to be simple, okay? So this is the structure of reality at the most fundamental level. So AI also will come to astronomy. I won't talk too much on it. Okay? So this is about cosmology. Sorry that Professor Bagya has no talk about it. I hope I won't enclose too much on it. So this is the how about cosmology, the big question of the universe. How the universe was born, how the universe going to die. Armageddon. Hari Kiamat Chakrawala. Alright, we'll talk about that. So basically you're talking about one universe. Is that all? I remember even I was in high school in KL, I read about this. Multiverse. So other than all that you know, you and me, Malaysia, solar system, the stars in the Milky Way, our Milky Way galaxy, the other galaxies, and galaxies at the edge of the universe seen by Hubble and Webb now, is that the only universe? According to the cosmologists, not true. There may be parallel universe where there are no protons, neutrons. The structure of the matter there is different, but they exist. There are many. So are there parallel universes? So the scientists are now using the big telescope to see the cosmic microwave background, to see whether the signature is there, that there are possible parallel universe, multiverse. Right? So that's it. So now there's a number quoted by Stephen Hawking years ago. How many total number of parallel universes are there? Ladies and gentlemen, don't faint. Now parallel universe. So imagine each bubble here is one universe. Next to us, another parallel universe. So this is about 200 parallel universes here. Or some of you are very good. You have a bug at home. Each tiny bubble is a universe. So maybe here will be 1 billion universes there. Now, according to a famous number quoted by Stephen Hawking before he passed away, what's the number of parallel universes total? 10 to the power of 500. 1 with 500 zeros. Big. That was the figure they quoted many years ago by Stephen Hawking. But later on, 2 Russian scientists, because the Soviet Union collapsed, they migrated to America. Professor Andrei Linde, Russian, Vitaly Vanchurin, Russian, in Stanford University, and they come up with a parallel study. So this is the currently accepted number of, the total number of parallel universes possible, according to them, 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 7 universe. I know this is out of reason, beyond reason. So that's what you say. So now, next time you look at, you go to Polisan, you look, beautiful sky, you know, so many. This is not the only universe. So you ask yourself inside, where are the other universes? We hope we can find them. So this is it. So basically, when you talk about our universe with art, think about the other universe. There are also a possible art. Okay? All right? That's it. So next time you see many galaxies in the universe, you say that the cosmos is inside you. You and the cosmos, you and every single electron, proton on the earth to the edge of the universe, we are all interconnected according to science. Okay? Thank you.
Wow, that was an amazing talk by Dr. Chong. Thank you so much. All right, so I hope everyone, if you have some questions, remember to put inside the Slido link later. Okay? So we will proceed to our next speaker today, which is Associate Professor Hasno Jamal Saidon. So let me introduce the speaker to you. So Associate Professor Hasno, he hails from Perak, and he started his tertiary education with a diploma in art and design in UiTM, University Technology Mara. So in the late 1980s, and it was then he gained the best student prize from UiTM itself. So he later pursued a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting at Southern Illinois University in the US, and he obtained a Master of Fine Art in Electronic Art from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in the US in 1993. So in 2002, he joined USM, and he is currently an associate professor at the School of the Arts, USM, and he specializes in media arts. So some of his greatest achievements include pioneering electronic arts in Malaysia, initiating art programs in UNIMAS, UMS, as well as USM. He curated several milestone exhibitions. He co-founded the eArt ASEAN Online in year 2000, and he wrote about 25 books. And most recently, he was the director of the Tuanku Fauzia Museum and Gallery from 2005 to 2012, and later 2022 to 2024. So it was this time that he actually worked closely with Dr. Chong on various astronomy outreach activities. So he is an expert not only in art, but also in astronomy. So today the title of his talk will be Cosmology of Sustainability Between Tradition and Physics. So let us put our hands together and welcome Associate Professor Hasno.
Thank you, Dr. John, Dr. Chong, Tan Sri Mazlan, Dr. Tatiana, guests. Thank you very much. Dr. Chong, you went to full speed. So I will meditate a bit. Okay, mine will be probably conceptual, theoretical, and perhaps philosophical look on cosmology. I call it Cosmology of Sustainability. That's not mine, actually. That one came from a book that I read. But I will look into that as a possible area where the arts and the sciences can converge. And I will look, make a comparison between cosmology in tradition and in physics. So maybe I'll go first to interpretations. I like the word interpretations. I don't like to use definition. Interpretations give a bit more room for debate and so on. So first of all, fundamentally, what is art? So this is my interpretation of art. There are many different interpretations of art. I look at art as subjective exploration and expression of phenomena and human experiences through a particular set of medium, material, tool, equipment, technique, and technology, complemented by a certain degree of skill, fluency, and mastery. That's my take on art. So what is science? Please take this as a naive interpretation of science from an artist. I look at science as an objective exploration. Correct me, Dr. Chong and Tan Sri. Suspend ni sebab ada dua otai kan, kiri kanan. Objective exploration and description of phenomena and human experiences through a particular and repeatable set of objective measurement, testing, and methodology, tool, equipment, technique, and technology, complemented by or followed by a particular set of objective, rational, and logical deduction and interpretation. I hope that's okay. Lulus? Hey, thank you very much. So, what is art science? So we have this art science initiative. What is art science? So based on the previous two interpretations, I would like to propose that art science is the synthesis of objective and subjective exploration, description, and expression of phenomena and human experiences. I think that's the simplest interpretation that I can come up with. Right? So, art science, example of art science. What would be the best example of art science? We, all of us, each and every one of us, is a walking example of art science for me. So, for example, we have, the way our brain works combines both. Our brain will work in the best way, I think, if we combine both the arts and the sciences. Okay, it's called whole brain system. So, Dr. Chung mentioned about matter, energy, consciousness. So normally we will go on and on until 4 a.m. in the morning until I solat subuh. I have to go and solat subuh to stop where we talk about matter, energy, and one interesting word, consciousness. When it comes to consciousness, perhaps we could see our consciousness, we experience consciousness through two streams. One is objective stream, another one is subjective stream. And we see that expressed in many different visual traditions, like this one in yin and yang. But when we look into tradition, this idea of subjective and subjective streams can be perhaps phrased as dance of the opposites. Many different cosmological traditions, a traditional cosmology, phrase that as dance of the opposites. Yin and yang, between dark and light, cold and hot, between negative and positive, between masculine and feminine. So in our case, it's between the arts and the sciences. So objective and subjective streams of consciousness, for me, is fundamental principle of our beingness. So art and science is a manifestation of our fundamental beingness. And we can find that dance of opposites, complementary opposites, not antagonistic opposites, can be found in modern cosmology, in traditional cosmology, in quantum world, and also digital world. So when we go to digital world, we have this 1 and 0, what we call as binary. Maybe in quantum physics, particle, negatively charged particle and positively charged particle. But in digital language, maybe in the language of AI, it's 1 and 0. Again, dance of the opposites, art and science, or any kind of complementary opposites. The image on the right is actually a tengkolok. You know, the tengkolok, what you call it in English? Headgear tengkolok, which actually, there's a pattern underneath tengkolok, which is 1, no beginning and no ending. 1, no beginning and no ending. 1 is 1, no beginning and no ending is 0. So what is 1 and no beginning and no ending? Infinity. No beginning and no ending, infinity. Perhaps infinity, formlessness, infinite field of possibilities is where we came from. Is where all the physical experiences emerge. Maybe we can look at it that way. So infinity, if you ask any mathematician, exists, but it can't be grasped. Nobody can grasp infinity, but nobody can say that no, infinity doesn't exist. So perhaps that's 1 and 0. Again, dance of opposites. So how scientists describe science? Albert Einstein, science is nothing but the refinement of everyday thinking. Perhaps he is trying to say that science is the disciplined improvement of how we think and understand the world. Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. That's from Carl Sagan. You mentioned him just now. Maybe he is trying to say that science is a mindset for questioning and exploring reality. Richard Feynman, science is the belief in the ignorance of experts. Very interesting. So maybe he's trying to say that science is the pursuit of truth through continual testing, even of accepted ideas. So if we can summarize it, science is a disciplined, objective, rational, and logical way of thinking that refines our everyday understanding, questions acceptable truth, and continually explores reality to uncover deeper truth. Okay, dapat A? Alright. Okay, how artists describe art. Pablo Picasso. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. Very poetic. So maybe he is trying to say that art is a cleansing force for the human spirit. Georgia O'Keeffe. I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say in any other way. Maybe she's trying to say that art is the language of expression beyond words. What about Leonardo da Vinci? Art is never finished, only abandoned. So he's known to be somebody who likes to abandon many projects. So maybe he's trying to say that art is an ever-evolving act of creation. So if we can summarize, art is a unique and subjective language of expression that refreshes the spirit, communicates what words cannot, and remain an ever-evolving art of creation. Cosmology. So this one, Stephen Hawking. Cosmology is the study of universe as a whole. Cosmology is the scientific study of the origin, structure, evolution, and ultimate fate of the universe. The beginning and the ending. That's the end. Don't ask me what are all those images. I just simply grab them from. Yeah, but the one on the left is actually an atom, a particle actually. Almost look the same. Okay. Actually, I can explain, but it will take too much time. Now, cosmology in three traditions: Hindu cosmology, Buddhist cosmology, and Islamic cosmology. So we have different interpretations of cosmology from these three traditions. Perhaps we can also look into this as a way of bridging the arts and sciences. I'm not going to go into that too much. But on the left there, upper left there, is Kullum fi falaki yasbahun. That's in Surah Yasin. So if you look, where is the pointer? If you look, sorry. Okay, ini kan? Alright. So it's actually symmetry. Okay, and looks like an orbit. That's from Surah Yasin, explaining about falak, movement of celestial objects. Again, I'm not going to go detail. Sustainability, this is just a recall, practice of meeting present needs while safeguarding the planet's resources, biodiversity, and cultural heritage so that the future generation can also thrive. Balancing environmental protection, social equity, and economic growth. So what is cosmology of sustainability? A cosmology of sustainability refers to a worldview in which our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it shapes our approach to sustainable living. It emphasizes that sustainability isn't just about resource management or policy, but about integrating philosophical, cultural, and ecological frameworks that reflect our interconnection with the broader universe. Okay, again the word yang Dr. Chong gunakan tadi, interconnection kan. So, through what? Through environmental cosmology, sustainable cosmology, and eco-cosmologies. Environmental cosmology refers to study of how cosmological worldviews inform ecological behaviors and policies. Sustainable cosmology refers to a holistic, ethically grounded view transcending anthropocentrism, meaning human-centric, sees humans as co-creators in the cosmic story. Eco-cosmologies refers to indigenous worldviews where sustainability is woven into spirituality, culture, and ecological practice. A bit different than the typical SDGs approach. So in summary, cosmology of sustainability, which can be an area where art science can play a vital role, a cosmology of sustainability challenges us to reconsider the narratives that underlie modern systems that surround us now, be it economic, governance, or personal behavior. It invites a shift from fragmented, growth-driven thinking towards a relational, value-based understanding of sustainability, one that places our actions in harmony with larger cosmic patterns and duties. Okay, I'll have to go fast. Literatures. Interestingly enough, these three main characters, they are from the visual art. Reza Piadasa, Lord Sulaiman Esa, Ismail Zain, all my sifus. So I like to go into what they have said. 50 years ago, 1974, very long time ago, in which in their writings they mention about the need to converge the arts and sciences. This one from Ismail Zain. Dengan kemajuan teori-teori saintifik tentang relativity, infinity, lupus materi, implosi dan lain-lain, pengenalan kepada pengalaman dasar suci pada masa depan bukanlah sejarah atau antropologi tetapi fizik. Ini Ismail Zain ya. Dia mengusulkan fizik sebagai pengantar untuk kita mengkaji tentang tradisi. So we have to look at wow bulan from physics point of view, this instrument from physics point of view, pohon beringin from physics point of view, which is interesting, and he wrote this 50 years ago in visual art. Perlu ada perubahan dialektikal dalam menepani tradisi. Fizik, Dr. Chong your area. Fizik, ini guru saya, guru seni, boleh menjadi alat komunikasi untuk tradisi jika ia perlu dikaitkan dari segi linguistik. Penting juga mengambil kira teknologi media sebagai era dalam mana tradisi boleh memainkan peranannya. Okey, ya ini daripada satu manifesto called Towards a Mystical Reality yang ditulis oleh Reza Piadasa dan Sulaiman Esa. Mereka menyentuh tentang prinsip ketidakpastian Heisenberg Uncertainty Principles. These are both artists. 1974, you born already? You were not even born. So, quite impressive for me kan? So, again, this one. Para saintis tidak lagi percaya kepada dunia yang terbatas atau pada benda yang kekal. Benda mungkin dihurai oleh ahli-ahli fizik dari segi gelombang, partikel dan tenaga. Okay, 1974 by artists. Okay, we go to key interpretations. So, on the left is the traditional cosmology and art. On the right, there are two, classical physics and quantum physics. So we can explore this. This is from my previous papers, how traditional cosmology interpret light and how quantum physics interpret light. Can be interesting to compare. In traditional cosmology, there is only one source of light. The rest are all shadows or reflections. In quantum physics, I mean, Dr. Chong can explain that, Tan Sri can explain that. Light can be particle or can be wave or can be both. Until someone observe it, collapse of wave function. Oh, good Alright, okay, I can speak physics now. So, one interesting thing is Al-Ghazali and Einstein. They have one thing in common. Both of them said, Al-Ghazali said that the physical world is just a shadow of the truth. Another world that cannot be seen. So it's called a shadow world, a dunya bayang. And interestingly, Einstein said that the physical reality, as you said, is an illusion, but a degil illusion, a persistent illusion. So they share the same thought. Quite interesting. And this interest in looking and observing, instead of observing external form, but observing structure, internal structure, observing patterns, can be seen in both tradition and also in physics, the structures of matter. I found that very interesting. I can see the correlation between many different of traditional forms and also physics, interested in patterns instead of just what we see form. So we can see many. When we look at patterns, we see symmetry, we see proportion, we see balance. These are areas in which I think art science can sort of understand each other. Examples of symmetry, proportion, balance in nature, in traditional wood carving, in Sufi dance, the swirling dance, in the swirling motion of the galaxy, in the swirling motion of the blood, in the atom. So these are my notes about symmetry in physics as well as in our traditional cosmology. Very interesting for me, symmetry. So I'm not going to explain it because I have two otais here, so I'm a bit nervous. So just pass it. Okay, symmetry, proportion, and balance. So a lot of examples here. If you see patterns, you see this interest instead of objects, we look at patterns and abstract patterns, geometrical patterns. This language of geometry is very interesting for me. These are principles that can be found in quantum domain, I think, and also in traditional cosmology. I don't have to read all of them, but these are examples of some principles, one of which is interconnected, as you said just now, interdependence, highly networked. And what you just said just now have been expressed aesthetically, beautifully, through all these patterns. Now you see patterns, so in traditional cosmology, traditional art, they are not interested in making a realistic representation of object because that is the very surface level. They are interested in observing and showing patterns, and those patterns show interconnectedness, as Dr. Chung has explained just now, so I don't have to go into that. Keterkaitan, I call it senadi. So we have this keterkaitan between human beings, between human and nature, and human and the whole universe. But in regards to Islamic cosmology, keterhubungan manusia dengan pencipta, with God. Okay. So this you can see this manifested geometrically, like this Fibonacci curve, a spiral, based on Fibonacci numbers or Fibonacci proportion, from microscopic scale to macroscopic scale, from quantum to galactic scale. We can see this in delta, in our blood veins, in our nervous system, everywhere. Okay, from small to large form. Non-linear, cyclical, multiple centers, simultaneous. Simultaneity, as you said, what do you call it? Everything is in endless possibilities until it is observed. So it's called, observer-centered reality, something like that. So the observer will influence the behavior of the particle. So only when you are observing, there is a witness, then we experience physical reality. But before that, it's all in states of multiple, infinite possibilities. So state in simultaneous states of multiple possibilities is expressed beautifully through this arabesque. So it's up to you to decide to see square, triangle, whatever shapes. You can see it in different configuration. So finally, I think art science through cosmology and sustainability provide us with what I call as epistemological framework to work on, and maybe it can be used as a basis for those interested in converging the arts and science. Basically, unity of knowledge, interconnectivity between different fields, various fields, union of knowledge and iman, knowledge and faith, combining art and science, very transdisciplinary, and we can see that in quantum field as well. So many findings in the propositions in the by quantum physicists sound more like a philosophical proposition, and also sometimes bordering on spiritual inquiry rather than physics. So I'll end with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Hasno, for that talk. Wow, I think it's a rather mind-boggling day, right? Learning a lot about the science from Dr. Chong, a lot about the art and interpretation from Associate Professor Hasno. But we are not done yet. We want to find a convergence between the science and the arts, and that's where we have our third speaker today. Right? We have Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Mazlan Othman. So let me introduce you to her. So Tan Sri Mazlan grew up in Negeri Sembilan, where she was an alma mater of College Tunku Krusia. She secured a Colombo Plan scholarship and studied a Bachelor of Science in Physics at University of Otago, New Zealand. Later, she furthered her studies in the same institution, and she actually became the first woman to obtain a PhD in physics in that institution back in 1981. So Tan Sri Mazlan, she then returned home and she became Malaysia's first astrophysicist, where she served the nation by creating an astronomy curriculum in UKM. She oversaw the development of the Planetarium Negara, the National Planetarium, and she later was the Director General of the National Space Science Studies Division in 1993. So in 1999, Tan Sri Mazlan became the Director of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs in Vienna in 1999. So she went from Malaysia to become part of the world, right? Later became the founding director of the Malaysian National Space Agency in 2002 and the director of the International Science Council Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific in 2017. So as you can see, Tan Sri has been through all over the world and now she's back here to share with us. So to honor her contributions, Tan Sri Mazlan, she received the title of Tan Sri from our Yang di-Pertuan Agong in 2021. So as we can see, she's really a blessed woman, how much she has contributed not only to Malaysia but also to the world. So today the title of her talk is The Convergence of Arts and Science. So ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together and welcome Tan Sri Mazlan.
Thank you. And no philosophy from me this afternoon. The only philosophical thing I'm going to say to you, and I put it right in the beginning, is that you think time and space are fundamental, right? Everything you do is you have to go through time and you have to walk in a certain space. All I want to tell you for now, and it's a whole philosophical discussion on this, is that time and space are not actually fundamental. Time and space are the manifestations of something even more fundamental and deeper, of which we don't understand. Okay, how are you thinking? How do you want to think about this? You feel the temperature in this room, right? How do you measure the temperature in this room? You take the thermometer and you say it's, inside here I think it's about 20 degrees centigrade. And you think that's fundamental to you understanding this room. But actually, what you are measuring is the motion of particles in this room. So it's the motion of the particles in this room that is more fundamental than the concept of temperature. So now you imagine that temperature is actually equivalent to space and time. And there is something even more fundamental than that, equivalent of the motion of particles, of which we don't know, we don't understand. So there is a whole lot of philosophy on that alone, that it could that we are actually an illusion, that the whole reality is an illusion. You will read all about this, And so that's the philosophy I want to say to you that is consuming most of physicists today. Why is it that we cannot think of space and time as fundamental? There is something deeper than that. Okay, the other thing that I want to say right at the outset is about 2 days ago, I met with a group of people. One of them was a very famous filmmaker, and he said to me, quite, he was provoking. He said, there are no geniuses in science. There's only geniuses in the arts. And he was surprised that I did not object. And I said, actually, there is a lot of truth in that. Why? Because, you see, scientists, what do? We discover the laws of nature. And you see how Newton discovered classical mechanics. And then Einstein went on to discover relativistic mechanics. But the truth is, at any time, some scientists will continue to discover the laws of nature. It's just a matter of somebody discovering it. It's nothing new. It's us discovering the law of nature. But the work of Van Gogh or the work of Picasso cannot be found by anybody else except Picasso and Van Gogh. And that is the genius, I feel. So that is where, when this guy says there are no geniuses in science, only in the arts, I agree. Because, as I said, we scientists only uncover and discover. But the genius comes from the artist. And this I have to admit. I have a genius friend here who's Dato' Ramli Ibrahim, but I will talk about him a bit later. So I'm going to be talking about something completely mundane, like how did I have to deal with the convergence of art and science on a daily basis, no more philosophical, I had to do it. And I had to do it when I was given the task of establishing the National Planetarium. And on a day-to-day basis, my task was to speak to the public, to tell the public about science. And, you can't do a show in the planetarium without making sure there's a convergence of poetry, art, religion, music, visuals with the science. And so my struggle has always been to find that convergence between the arts and the science. And that struggle is not so much conceptual, which he has done such a terrific job. I'm so glad I don't have to do that. But it's finding people who straddle the two fields. I remember I had written some facts on the sun, and I was going to do a planetarium show on the sun. So I thought of it, and I looked at it, and I thought, this is crazy, this is all science language, and even I found it, a bit boring and overbearing. And so I gave it to one of my friends, who's, I believe, one of the best literature person, He's a poet as well, Muhammad Saleh. I gave it to him and said, please convert this to something more palatable, And you know what? When it came back to me, there was not much change. Simply because this very famous poet was too afraid to go away from the scientific concepts. And so I needed to train or make sure people feel that they can go beyond the science, and make poetry out of the science. But this wasn't so easy because of our education system. Tiang Seri Zul is there. He and I have always opined on why we separate science from the arts. And it's that education system that produces people who cannot straddle the two fields. And so my experience at the planetarium told me that I myself had to create that art science movement. And so that's how it started, that we talk about art science. And Hasnul here is one of my first, the first few people that, my partner in crime rather, where we created this art science movement. And that was in 1998, Hasnul? So this whole thing about art science to me is nothing very new. And so we worked with the art gallery, National Art Gallery, where I brought the most, I thought, that time, some of our best artists and performing arts people as well, and the best scientists in the country, where I put them all in the one camp and told them to interact. And actually, I could see the difference between the arts people and the science people. Whenever I have a program, by 8:30 or 9, all the scientists are sitting behind the desk, all eager, and the artists are still asleep. Ingat tak? And they wouldn't come out. You had to actually knock on the door. The lecture is starting. But that's where I also knew the difference between the artists and the scientists. But we got better, huh? By the time we did the second one and the third one, there was more understanding between the artists and the scientists. But they're all different people all the time. But I think it's to get each group to appreciate the soul of the other, how they approach the subjects. And but we succeeded in getting them to collaborate. Slowly, the amount of collaboration increased. And so I had been beset, by this. How do I make sure the artists talk to the scientists and produce things that are convergent? But of course, I left to go overseas and hoping that the movement would create its own. I had created a momentum. Of course, I was terribly wrong. By the time I came back, the movement actually had almost died. Again, I said individuals like Hasno. So we had to, so the way I did it was to create a prize under the Academy of Sciences Malaysia. So we set up an endowment for art science, and I had to personally raise the money, for it and all that. And so until today, we have an prize, an art science prize. And I think, again, this year you are the jury, yeah? So we have had submissions. Our title this year is AI, about AI, I can't remember the name now. Apa namanya? AI and no, it has to do with art as well. Something with the arts, but with how people use AI to come up with some artworks. And Hasnul is one of the jury members. But it's to sustain this interest, that I think is very, very difficult. But we keep doing it. And so, the other the other issue I think that needs to be addressed is this convergence must go down, not go down, but must be at the public level. How do we make students especially see that the arts and the sciences are not two distinct things? And so to cut the story short, that's how when the Langkawi Development Authority asked me to write a coffee table book on the images of the Langkawi National Observatory, I told them that the only way I would do that is if they allowed me to collaborate with the poet and an artist. And that's how I came up with the book Cosmic Connections. Lupa nak bawa kan, Ramli? And so you'll hear this story if you come to our performance, that I did not want to just launch it biasa-biasa, you know. I wanted to perform it. And that's when I started working with Ramli Ibrahim and Johan Jaafar, and of course the music people. And I think that is for the first time, Azul, I've been able to really merge the arts and the sciences. So now I would then use this time to demonstrate to you what you can do, you know, to see the convergence in arts and science. So can I please introduce to you Dato Ramli Ibrahim? He probably needs no introduction. Thank you, Ramli. Thank you. And what we've done, what Ramli has done, is he's taken my story about the cosmos, story of the cosmos, and interpreted the scientific concepts, Dr. Chong, into metaphors as brought about by dance. So I've got some pictures here, which I hope Ramli will tell us what, you know, how he has interpreted and how difficult it has been to work with scientists. Mainly he talk about that. But you can see the translation of our concepts, scientific concepts, into beauty, you know. Of course, we in the space field, in astronomy, we are so blessed because anything about astronomy is beautiful. It'd be harder in archaeology, for instance, or solid state physics, you know. But I think that's why I'm naturally gravitated towards astrophysics, because it's such an inherently beautiful field. But that alone is not enough. You know, you have to combine the soul of the concept too, and I think that's where Ramli has been able to do that. You know, capture the soul of the concept together with music and other things. So we have named our show, which I hope you will come to in droves tomorrow night. It's called Cosmic Connections. And there is the video. Safina, I think Amran gave you the video. It's a 1-minute video. Ada tak? Oh, he didn't give you the video? Ah, too bad. Huh? Tak apa. So because that video tells you about the whole thing, you know. You sure he didn't send you the video? But if he hasn't, tak ada. Yeah, I said to him to send you the video as well. Tak apalah. I won't waste time. No dah, I don't want to waste time. Okay, so there is a series of photographs here, which and for this, it's not in any sequence, Ramli. For this, I want Ramli to speak about them. What is so wonderful about my experience when I'm a scientist working with artists is when you see that creative process, and I've seen that creative process both in the poetry, which of course you cannot see here, in the artwork itself, and of course with Ramli is the dance. And of course Ramli doesn't want me to emphasize on this, but for me as a scientist, watching this creative process of that I see manifested through Ramli is a gift for me in itself. So if you haven't seen that, you haven't got a gift yet. And I got that gift, you know. But Ramli, can you, so this part here, so they're demonstrating something. If you can go through with them and just say something.
I think dancers work with metaphor, metaphor is the power of suggestion. And if I do here a flower, it's not any ordinary flower, it's the original flower. So when you talk about sun, you actually have a big, huge Shiva Nataraja of the God who dances the rhythm of the universe. So this is all metaphor. It is not, as what Hasnul is saying, it's not illustrative of anything. So you, by metaphor, by that power of suggestion, you evoke totally the whole gamut of creation by just that power of suggestion. So you don't have to write, you don't talk about pages and pages, you do that. So the same thing with me here, I would look at the hurtling of the celestial bodies, or the attractor, or the conjoining, is what Hasnu was talking about, the Purusha Prakriti, the sky, the earth, the yin and yang, as to be the eventual, the sexual embrace of union of these two polar opposites. So there is no longer the opposite, there is union. So all that, the dance can say that in 1 second or in one image, rather than you having to explain in big terminology. And it doesn't take a scientist to understand it. It will take just that person who is sensitive, the rasika we call it, the person who is sensitive to that, to understand, whoa, I know it. And this is the power. So, fortunately, and it's wonderful to see what Prof. Hasno is looking at geometry and all that, because the body itself is a geometry. But what happens in outer space is happening within us. The macro and the micro is within us. And the inner landscape is what you see in the nebula. So, with this, is to that. Sure.
That will be shown,
Yeah.
that you can decide what to see. See that? These are the photos.
Yep.
That you can show them. Okay?
Yeah. So, is it here? Yeah. Yes. So, in this sense, the time when Tan Sri Mazlan was talking about we are made of star stuff, and that we have to be, the atoms have got to be flung out of a dead star, and of course the dancers will be flung out and spiral out into the outer space and things like that. Here I felt that the artist or Mazlan has to be the axis mundi, where everything else is being pulled by both the Purusha, the male principle, and the female principle, Prakriti, which is the word Prithvi and all this kind of thing, you know. So that, I mean, it doesn't have to be explained here. Mazlan talk about we live by the sun and we love by the moon. And here it's the sun, Surya. Surya is the maker of the day. He is the dispeller of darkness, which is also ignorance, the eye of the world, the witness of deeds, the nourisher, you know, the king of all that. And here we talk about that. And here Mazlan talk about twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So we have a romantic idea of the star gleaming about, and then we are dancing, you know. There's that Alice in Wonderland of us, but it is not that. It is something even more interesting, and the star have to die to blast out its guts out, and to be, you know, we are actually, karma is not just a cause and effect. It is also memories. We are made of the atoms, the hydrogen, the elements that has been manufactured in bellies of stars.
So we talk about the romance of the cosmos.
Yes.
I memang sengaja tak tunjuk gambar tu because I want them all to see the show tonight.
Definitely.
No, not tonight, tomorrow
because
night.
When
And
they
you
are
see
talking, I thought,
about the
Mazlan,
romance.
we've summarized, it's in the work. If they don't see it, and it is
Don't tell
your,
them, so they have
yes.
to come
Okay.
tomorrow. But there is a video that actually demonstrates.
What else is there? That's it. Yeah.
So there's a video that
All right.
you go through the video, but I don't want us to tell all the story today. A teaser. Cannot.
No, but Mazlan, being a scientist, of course, you know, she is exasperating me. So we are literally fighting in a nice way on trying to get, because it's important that Mazlan storytell about the universe, and I want her to repeat, and when she does it very, very well, and I'm so happy. But the next day she'll completely be different. So that's
It is me, the scientist, doing facts. Facts come out. He says, no.
So in that sense, we have the younger Mazlan thinking about another girl, and we had two. One is not available, so we have another one that talks about, because he talked about when she was running for a marathon, that she saw Comet Halley sort of streaking across like a sword in the sky. So all that will be done. Okay, good.
In traditional astrology, celestial objects are supposed to influence one's life. Astronomers do not subscribe to this notion, but Comet Halley did change my life.
There's a dance of creation. That's the book.
Stay tuned to Menti Cakrawala 2.0, the science and romance of cosmos. See me on our national-wide tour, July to August 2025.
But yeah, So do come tomorrow night. There's still tickets that can be bought. Okay, Ramli? Yeah. Or talk to Ramli or me if you have difficulty. Thank you. And I just wanted to make sure that this is a demonstration of the convergence of arts and science yang betul-betul kita buat. We're just not talking about it. And it's been a very difficult process. Actually, at 7 o'clock tomorrow, Ramli will tell you the making of, no, the group. I thought tomorrow, I think, yeah, we do. We do.
Where?
Yeah,
Over there?
Over there at the theatre, according to Gitika, you know. Safina, kita ada kan the making of at 7. Yeah. So the people, the lighting people will tell you, the music people will be there, the dancers will demonstrate. You know what he's been saying, how they demonstrate the whirling, whatever. We will demonstrate that at 7 o'clock. Anyway, so do come. Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence.
Okay, sincere thanks to Tan Sri Mazlan and also Dr. Ramli for that sharing just now. I'm sure many of you might be excited for the production tomorrow. All right, can I request the PA team to show the QR code again? All right, so if you have any questions, right, you can please feel free to scan it and ask. And if you're shy and you just want to grab the mic, you can also stand out there to the microphone to us. Okay, so we are going to start our Q&A session. So and on the list, I already have 2 questions already. Okay, so while the others, if you want to ask anything, you can please type away. I'm going to ask the first question that's over here. So this question is directed to, I think, to Dr. Chong. Right? It says here by Datmi, from Dr. Chong's talk, he said that we live in a non-local universe. So what would happen if we lived in a local universe? Right? So the microphone.
Thank you. So basically, whatever happened in this room, according to classical physics, will only influence the people and things in this room. So that's classical physics. So this is locality. So locality is happening all the time. You are here, whatever happened in this room will only affect whatever is in this room. Whatever happens in this room, according to classical physics, will not happen in Zimbabwe. No connection at all. So that's locality. So locality is happening all the while. And locality is what? Common sense. We thought, whatever happened here will influence things here. That's common sense. But non-locality is what? Quantum mechanics tells us that whatever happens here, especially you got 2 entangled. So basically, not only photons can have a wave function, even electron can have a wave function. Anything that has matter or energy can have a wave function. So in other words, if you have 2 objects that are entangled here, right? And let's say this one object remains here and one object goes to Zimbabwe. So something happened to the first object here, the other entangled object can feel it also instantaneously. So that is non-locality, and it's proven in experiment. And more, so you have millions and millions of objects which are entangled here, and they can travel all over the universe. So what sometimes happened to one object here is sensed by all the objects in the universe instantaneously, faster than the speed of light. So sorry, Einstein is wrong in this aspect. All right. So basically, that's it. So the common sense is locality occurs, and locality is very, very strong, and it cannot be denied. But then quantum mechanics say there's a weird thing called non-locality is true. So basically, quantum mechanics tell us that weirdness is the truth. So we always thought that quantum mechanics is what? Weird, bukan, pelik, bukan, super pelik tau, quantum mechanics. So it is the weird thing that is the truth. We are all interconnected. So quantum non-locality is true. Yeah. In science.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chong. Okay, so the next question is directed to Professor Madhya Hasno. So the person says here from Dadmi, do you agree that science and art are one? Okay, so the person gave an example, for instance, like how the thickness of a guitar string can influence the frequency of the music. So, do you agree that science and art are one? Do you want to elaborate on it?
It's like, do you agree, Asno, that you are one? You have left brain hemisphere and right brain hemisphere thinking in different ways. You know, you have trillions and trillions of cells in your body. Do you agree that you are one? So yes. Union of the opposites.
Okay, thank you. That was a very simple question as well, right? Okay, the next question is for both Dr. Chong and Prof. Maslan. Okay, so it says, in your opinion, does the correlation between cosmology and arts come from a clever design or a random process? So maybe Tan Sri can start first. Does the correlation between cosmology and arts come from a clever design or a random process?
Okay, so here is not so much about arts or cosmology and arts, but was the universe designed or did it randomly come about? I think that's a question, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a question. And that is actually to resolve those what you think are two totally different things is your philosophical point of view. So if you look at the fact that, no, not the fact, that through quantum mechanics, the obvious deduction is that there are multiple universes. In fact, you've said there 10 to the, I don't know how many, infinite number of universes. And so that by itself is not a proven fact. It's a matter of faith. To me, it's about your faith. So if you feel that through quantum mechanics, which is through that quantum froth and all the calculations, there are multiple universes, there are I can see two conclusions to this. One is that, would that then mean that one of those universes is then uniquely, not designed, uniquely manifested, that it is perfect for you and me to exist? There will be an infinite minus one universes that's not fit for us. Okay? So, and but that one universe with all the physical constants, there's so many constants in the universe that we physicists cannot explain why. Why is the proton this weight and this mass and whatnot? And there are what we call first conditions that we don't know how they arise. We physicists like to derive everything from first principle. And when we see something that's already a known thing, you cannot change, we worry. And so that is why physicists try to explain how did the physical constants come about. And this actually motivated why we love the multiple universe concept. Because it does not give you, us human beings, a special position. That it was, well, in effect, random. That out of that infinite number of universes, one was perfect for us. But then, of course, if you believe in religion and all that, you will say, this one universe was actually designed and created for us. It depends on your...
I want to go to the word media. Because I teach media art. Media came from Sanskrit word madhya. Madhya. Also from other words, madios, media. Basically in between. Mediator. Related to Nadia. Nadi. So we, in our, like Dr. Ramli said, within our body, so he was said. So we have two streams, you know, like our nerve system, our blood system. Our nerve system goes to our brain, our blood system goes to our heart. This dance of the opposites through nadis. So we are the mediators, madhya. And so when we understand that, we are the center of that union, and that's oneness is experienced through us. If we can find truth, hopefully, it's not outside, it's through us. And that's what I learned. That's how I try to articulate and explain media art to my students. So it's a study of knowing the learner knowing himself or herself. The oneness has to be through the learner. So I totally agree with Tan Sri Zul, but same with Dr. Chong, don't let me have a conversation with him until pukul 4 pun tak habis kan. So thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll proceed to the next question then, right? So this question is by Nasha, for Dr. Chong, by the way. So she asked, to Dr. Chong, what's your take regarding the string theory? Do you foresee a time when it can be proven through experiment?
Actually, this is a long ago asked question. So basically, what we know is that string theory is something came up in the 1980s, that they can come up with a better way to explain particles and nature. That instead of you in your body are molecules and they are atoms. And in the atom, there's a nucleus made of protons and neutrons, and there are electrons going around the nucleus. So instead of they being considered as particles, but instead they are made of strings. And it's basically the loops, the closed loop that vibrate, that form the particles. And basically the advantage of having the loops is that if they vibrate at so-called different frequencies, different modes, they form different particles. So in other words, you can unify all the particles into a basic vibrating loop to have the ultimate particle. That's the idea of superstring. But the problem is that the superstring, until the year 2013, when the Higgs particle was founded, was in jeopardy, was in danger. They said that they have been looking for all this, the Higgs particle and so on for so many years. If they were not able to find the Higgs particle and so on, then the string theory would be false. But fortunately, they discovered the Higgs particle, so string theory is safe. But the problem is that many of the predictions of the string theory have not been verified. So I would say that string theory is not based on very strong foundations. Right? But the earlier one, I show you all the particles, the basic one. That is the earlier idea, is called the standard model of particle physics. That's the one we follow. And that one is considered as particles, not as strings. So string theory is still not have a very strong experimental foundation. So we hope, so basically for the past, since Einstein died in 1957, they said, waiting for the next Einstein to unify, to have the so-called one force that can describe everything. So basically now the whole universe is made of three forces. The so-called strong nuclear force, the particle holding together in nucleus, the electroweak force, and then the gravity force. So three forces. So if the next Einstein comes, they can unify to have all into one force, the super force, then hopefully that's the idea of the string theory. But the thing is that it's not easy to unify all this. So basically string theory have not much success except for the Higgs particle. So we are waiting for the next Einstein, hopefully from Malaysia. The Big Bang exploded, the electromagnetic force and the weak nuclear force was divorced. So right now we are existing in the four-force universe. But earlier, before, when the Big Bang just occurred, the weak nuclear force and the electromagnetic force were combined into one. But at the moment of the explosion, time t is equal to 0, all the forces combine into one force, the super force.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chong. Okay, that's a Star Wars pun. Okay, so the next question is directed to Tan Sri Mazlan. So the anonymous question says, for Tan Sri Mazlan, will we ever have another Malaysian astronaut in the near future?
My answer is an emphatic no. which of course surprises a lot of people, because considering I sent our first Angkasawan. No, unless we are very, very clear on what is it that we want to achieve. You see, if it's another trip to the International Space Station, no, absolutely not. He's done that, been there, done it. But if we have new technology, new science to prove that can only be done in space, by all means, spend that money so that we can prove something. Now, even then, let me just say something else. That it doesn't even need a lot of money. So you see, Canada didn't spend much money, but their footprint, the way they punch in the space exploration is very good, very high. You know why? Because they invented the Canadian arm. Very simple. It's just something that grabs. I mean, if you ever set something passing by, you grab it. It's the Canadian arm. They didn't spend that much money, but then there's no other countries that, produced the arm. So if we have something innovative like that, why not? But until we have that, then to me it's a waste of time to just send someone up there. No. So the answer is no, unless.
Okay, thank you, Tan Sri. So there's one more question for Tan Sri as well. Here it says, for Prof. Maslan, I live in a fast-paced world that values money and KPIs more than enjoy art. So how can we help working people find time to enjoy that?
Well, people enjoy. I mean, how do you make people find time to enjoy? Yeah. Oh, how to get rid of KPI? Tan Sri, Zul, and I have the same. We're so sad that we're always talking about KPIs and ranking. We totally hate ranking. But then, if you're the vice chancellor of a university, you have to answer to your political masters, and the only thing your political master measures you by are your KPIs and your ranking. So, no, I think, but I enjoy. I enjoy myself. I guess my enjoyment in life is that I get paid to do something I love, and I think you, Nasha, too. We get paid to do something we love. We don't have to do it by force. I mean, even if nobody pays us, we're still doing it, right, Nasha? Ramli, nobody pays us, can Ramli? Yeah, I don't know. You just enjoy life.
Okay, I'm really sorry, but due to time, unfortunately, we have to cut this discussion short. But could we once again give a round of applause to our three speakers today? Okay. So I'll pass the time back to our MC. Okay, thank you.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. John, dan terima kasih juga atas soalan-soalan yang membina dan jawapan yang begitu bernas daripada panelis-panelis kita. Sebagai tanda penghargaan dan terima kasih atas kesudian para jemputan berkongsi ilmu dan pengalaman, kita akan meneruskan dengan penyampaian cenderahati kenang-kenangan kepada para panelis dan moderator. Majlis dengan ini menjemput Yang Berusaha Dr. Tetrana Ahmed Fauzi, Pengarah Museum dan Galeri Tuanku Fauziah, Universiti Sains Malaysia, untuk menyempurnakan penyampaian cenderahati kepada panelis kita. Dijemput Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Emeritus Mazlan Othman, Dijemput Yang Berusaha Profesor Madya Hasnul Jamal Saidun, seterusnya dijemput Yang Berusaha Dr. Chong Hon Yu, dan seterusnya dijemput moderator kita pada hari ini, Yang Berusaha Dr. John, untuk menerima cenderahati. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dihormati, dengan itu berakhirlah majlis ilmiah Tiang Seri, Kosmos dan Seni kita pada petang ini. Terima kasih yang tidak terhingga kepada semua yang telah hadir dan memberikan sokongan. Untuk maklumat, terdapat pameran mini di ruang koridor tengah muzium yang memperlihatkan perkaitan di antara kosmos dan seni. Sebelum bersurai, majlis mempersilakan para panelis dan moderator bersama-sama dengan yang berusaha Dr. Tetriana untuk sesi bergambar.